Welcome to the StoryADay podcast. This is Julie Duffy, encouraging you to be a writer today, not someday. Good morning, good evening, good afternoon. It's Julie from the StoryADay podcast here. As I record this podcast, it is the end of August, and that means that StoryADay September is just around the corner, getting closer every day. I don't know about you, but where I live, September's kind of a busy month. If you've got anything to do with the academic life, which a lot of us nerdy writers do, or if you're a parent, this is kind of a busy time of year. And I'm asking a lot to ask you to write a story a day in September when you've got everything else going on. And I think for a lot of us, this feels like sort of like the second new year, right? Because we've got that sort of autumn is coming, fresh start of school drilled into us from our early lives. So there's two things pulling at you. One, you're probably pretty busy. And two, you're yearning to write again because the season's just about to change and we always kind of get that change of season, fresh start feeling. So I want to talk to you today about why you might want to think about signing up for StoryADay September if you haven't already. And then I also want to talk to you about how you can get even more support for your writing. So, the StoryADay Challenge. I know that some of you listening to this podcast have discovered it randomly or from a friend or however you discovered it, and you haven't necessarily taken part in the StoryADay Challenge. And it sounds scary, and it is scary. And I don't want to pretend otherwise. So let me start by prefacing this and saying that StoryADay September, StoryADay May, any of these challenges, they are not about writing good stories. They're about writing every day for a month so that you can push yourself and discover how to write on days when it's hard. Because if you want to write, you can't just write when you feel like it. You've got to be able to write on days when you don't feel like it, or on days when you don't have any ideas, or on days when you would rather do anything but look at your story again. Because when you push through those difficult days, that's when you really learn stuff. And it's very easy to stop. I've been playing the piano since I was 7, and I'm always good, when I'm learning a new piece. I'm not an improvisational pianist. I learn from music. And I'm always good with the first page of a sheet of music, because you're just sort of playing the theme and it's laying it out and it's usually quite straightforward. And then you turn the page and it gets a little more complicated. And then you get onto page 3 and they're reiterating the theme, but it's probably in a different key. So you're playing all these different notes like sharps and flats. And then there's more notes because they're adding in stuff, secondary themes, and there's just so many notes. And usually when I'm learning a new piece, that's where I stall. And if I don't have a piano teacher or a deadline, then I tend to stall there and I don't put in the work to learn that harder piece and to push through to the end. But if I do, the feeling of satisfaction from pushing through the hard bit, even though it's uncomfortable at the time, and even though it's maybe boring or challenging or even painful when it comes to the piano, like your fingers get sore. And when you're writing, the same thing can happen. Your fingers get sore or your head gets sore or your neck gets sore. Even though these things happen, if you persist and, do some stretching, but if you persist and you get to the end, there is a sense of having completed a journey. There is a sense of achievement. It's that getting to the top of Everest moment. It was hell to get there, but then you're on the roof of the world. I would encourage you to try Story a Day. Promise yourself that you will start a new story every day and do your best to finish it. You will let go any days that you miss, or any days that you don't finish a story, or any days that you don't write a story. Don't try and catch up. Some people do, and that might work for them, especially if you are the kind of person who loves a streak and would give up otherwise. I just want to let the rest of you know that if you want to participate in Story a Day and give yourself some grace on days when you miss a day or on days when you don't finish a story. That is absolutely a win in my book, because the point of Story a Day is not to produce 31 stories or 30 stories in September. It is for you to discover stuff about your process, or to invent a process for yourself if you don't have one yet, or to discover that you're stronger than you think you are, to discover that you can keep writing even on days when you don't think you can, for you to discover the sort of secret benefit of Story a Day. It's not secret, but it's this thing that I can tell you, but you will not believe me until you experience it yourself, that if you're committed to writing every day for a month, you will become more creative. You won't use up all your ideas, because you will begin to see ideas everywhere, if you're just in that writing mindset for a month. I don't think you can write at this pace all year round. I don't think anyone really does. Maybe Stephen King does, but most people, I think, when they're writing, they have bursts where you're drafting a project and you're churning out words every day, and then there need to be times when you do the other work of being a writer. So that's why I don't run this challenge every month of the year. I dedicate the rest of the year to helping you figure out how to do all the other stuff that is part of being a writer. But you can't do all that other stuff if you're not drafting new words at some point. And for a lot of us, getting the new words, dredging up the new words, is a sticking point. It's challenging. There are other parts of the process that are challenging too. Revision is challenging and getting published is challenging. But if you're not doing this first part, if you're not, and nobody can teach you this, right? You can be taught all the other stuff. Things like how to submit to markets, things like how to revise. To a certain extent, you can be taught that. I don't think anyone can teach you how to sit down at your desk and dredge up the words and turn them into a story. Because you have to teach yourself that. You have to teach yourself how you specifically get to your desk, get yourself into the mindset to write, keep going when it's hard, and get to the end of a story. All the other stuff, the craft, the polishing, the making it good, that we can work on. You can read books and you can take classes and all that stuff, but the doing the work part is all you. So I put together the StoryADay Challenge for myself because I was having trouble doing that part. And I made it public because I thought that making it public would hold me accountable, and that would be the thing that would make it work. What I discovered was that making the accountability part is part of it. What was really effective was the community, which blew me away. I had no idea that it was going to be having other people around, not keeping an eye on me, but sharing and going through this thing together. And the sense that I wasn't alone, and the sense that, hearing other people talking about their good days and bad days, that was the thing that kept me coming back year after year doing this challenge. So I would encourage you to go through this month with us. Even if you don't post anything at the website, even if you don't tell anyone you're doing it, knowing that there are other people doing this with you, there's some magic there. So writing every day is an amazing thing, not because you get 30 stories out of it, not because you do end up with some stories that turn out to be something you can work with, but more than that, you become aware of your process and you become convinced that you actually can do this. Treat the stories that you write in September like origami. Some of them are just going to be there to teach you to get to your desk. Some of them are just going to be there to teach you that you can write on a bad day. Some of them are going to be 2 sentences long and teach you that it's okay to do something. It doesn't have to be perfect. It doesn't have to be brilliant. It doesn't have to be publishable. It just has to be you turning up for your writing. Another reason you might want to do StoryADay September this year in particular is that we have guest prompts from a ton of amazing authors, people with best-selling books, awards, people who've been doing StoryADay for 10 years. All kinds of people gave me guest prompts this year. People like Hallie Efron and Joanne Harris and Mary Robinette Kowal and Joe R. Lansdale, Jonathan Maybury, Julia Elliott, Art Taylor, all kinds of people in there who are writing and working writers. And they are Simon Rich, who else is in there? People who are doing this. This is what they do for a living. So they've shared writing prompts that they thought might spur you to write a story. And I'd love to have you come along and read those prompts every day and leave a comment, say, thank you to the authors, and to let us know how it's going. So that's for the challenge. If you want me to send you email prompts every day, those prompts by email every day, I should say, you can come over to the site at storyaday.org and you can sign up. There's a box there that says, sign up here and I'll send you daily prompts. You should do that. The other thing I want to talk to you about is the StoryADay Superstars group, which you may or may not have heard me talk about before. It's a group of people who have taken an extra step and committed to join this group that I run. And we get together monthly for Zoom calls. We get together in our Slack workspace every day to chit chat about things that we've discovered, things that we're struggling with. And also I put workshops and other resources into our special portal that they can access at any point. The point of the Superstars group is that I was seeing people coming through the StoryADay Challenges and doing really, really well for that 1 month. And you may have experienced this if you've done NaNoWriMo or if you've taken a class or if you've done one of the StoryADay Challenges. Within that container, you are able to write every day. And then when the container goes away, you're left kind of hanging by yourself, and it's hard again to make yourself do it. So I saw people who were coming through the challenge, and every year they would come back and go, oh, I write brilliantly in May, or I write brilliantly in September. And then I always mean to keep going and I don't. And I felt like I was kind of letting them down. I was leaving them to flounder in the deep end alone. So I started this group where I said, hey, let's get together, let's stay in touch and we'll do workshops and we'll hang out and we'll get to know each other and we'll just be there for each other all year round. And it has been, it's been amazing, really. I asked the Superstars recently what they like about it. And I wasn't sure if it was, what the answers were going to be. But by far, the biggest answer was just camaraderie, just having a group of people who you can turn to at any point on any kind of day and know that they get it. So the other things that people said they got out of the group was, focus, a renewed focus on their writing, a mindset shift where just being committed to this group reminded them how much they wanted to be committed to their writing. And then having the group around reminded them that they probably should do something about that, like actually do some writing. So that's always fun to hear. Support, just having that support of people at every level is so helpful. And I found it interesting that a couple of people mentioned that two different ends of the spectrum. Some people, turn up for every meeting and they're on the Slack channel every day and they're checking out all the workshops in the portal and commenting on them and saying that's wonderful and so valuable. And then other people said, I just kind of I lurk a little bit and I don't have to turn up for everything and I don't have to comment all the time. But I know that when I do, I've got this group, they've got me. And it's nice to be able to sort of participate at that level that I'm comfortable with, which made me happy because, I wanted to create a welcoming, supportive place that wasn't adding stress to your life. So it sounds like the superstars have turned it into that space. What they've achieved is kind of amazing. Most people in the Superstars group agreed that it's helped them to make space in their life or make writing a priority. Some people have started submitting again. I think we can all agree that if writing is hard, the submission process is like not that much fun. So it can take a little extra nudge to get you if you want to be submitting to magazines. And I think the focus on their writing has given people the push to start submitting again and just do that bit, even though it's not super fun. Some people have had their first ever publications, just because they've made that shift and they've made that focus shift and made it a priority. I was very happy to hear people say that this being part of this ongoing group has allowed them to own their desire to be a writer. It's allowed them to step up and really admit it to themselves and admit it to the people around them. It's given them a kind of self-respect in this dream of being a person who tells stories. And some people are seeing that when they take it seriously themselves, the people around them take it seriously and start to either introduce them as a writer or do things to support their writing. We have spouses who have created spaces in the corner of the room for their writing spouse. We have all kinds of lovely stories of people who are being taken more seriously by their loved ones because they're now taking themselves seriously as writers. Now, that doesn't work for everyone. Not everyone has people around them who get it. And sometimes there's not really anything you can do about that. You can take yourself seriously as a writer and the people around you are still going to be like, yeah, what? Huh? That's not a real job. And for those people, I think it's really helpful to have another place to go to get those voices kind of out of your head and to get more supportive voices into your head. The other people who are like, no, it's yes, you're allowed to want to be a writer. You are allowed to own this part of you, this desire to write. That's okay. You're not crazy. So I find that the Superstars group, just having those people around every day to talk about good days and bad days and to reassure you that, yeah, this is hard and yeah, it's okay that you want to do it, is a wonderful thing. So if you have been frustrated by the ups and downs of your own desire to write, I'd like you to first of all forgive yourself because it is hard. And I think everyone this year who's been forced to suddenly work from home may now have an insight into how difficult it is to be productive when you're doing it all yourself, when it's just you trying to motivate yourself. And then to try and motivate yourself to do something as difficult as creative work, which it's emotional and it's you're building everything from scratch. You have no materials to work with. You're building the whole house and baking the bricks too. This is difficult. And I think this year may have shown everyone why we're not all just churning out novels every couple of weeks. Because it's difficult to motivate yourself. And having a supportive group around you, if you are looking for that, not everyone will be. This is not going to be for everyone. But if you are frustrated with your own inability to do the work you want to do, and if that is starting to become toxic and you're starting to talk badly to yourself about it, I would like you to forgive yourself because it is difficult and most people feel the same way. I would also like you to consider joining the Superstars group. We're opening up again this month. There's information in the show notes about it. You can find out more. You can email me if you have any questions, julie@storyaday.org. I am closing down registration for this on August the 31st, 2020. And that will get you into the Superstars group in time for the StoryADay September challenge, where you get all kinds of extra stuff with the prompts every day. In the regular challenge, you just get the prompt from the writer. In the Superstars group, you get a little video pep talk from me every day, talking about how you might go about using that prompt. You also get access to the Slack channel where you can chit chat with all the other superstars. There's a separate portal where you can comment on the prompts every day, which is just for the superstars. And you'll get to do our Zoom writing sprints, and I'm doing them every day during September. We don't do them every day all year round, but we do have Zoom hangouts and writing sprints for the superstars periodically throughout the rest of the year. But every day in September, you can jump on a Zoom call and sit in a virtual room with people and write. And it's incredible how productive that makes you. Anyway, that is what I have for you this week. Consider joining the StoryADay September Writing Challenge. If you are at a place where you are fed up of trying to do this alone and beating yourself up, or it's just not working out for you, consider joining the Superstars. It might be the right thing for you. It might be the thing you need to push you to discover how to finally become the writer you've always wanted to be. Have a great writing week, and most of all, keep writing. Thanks for listening. Why not come over to the blog at storyaday.org and check out this week's writing prompts and articles. And in the meantime, have a great creative week, and of course, keep writing.